Hello students, I am Dr. M. Bhushanam, Assistant Professor in the Department of Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bengaluru 1. Hope all is well. Take care of your good health during this pandemic time. Well students, today we shall understand another topic under economic zoology of non-chordata part 1, excuse me, that is vermiculture and vermicomposting. The objective of today's study is to study about the vermiculture and vermicomposting process. The content includes the vermiculture of earthworm and vermicomposting process. Well, all the green plants on the earth converts the sun's radiant energy into storable chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. So, the photosynthesis is a phenomenon wherein the radiant energy of the sun is converted into the storable chemical energy in the form of food. And now all these green plants hence forms the primary basis of chemical energy on the earth. So when these primary autotrophs, that is the green plants, that has stored the energy already in it, or later will be consumed by the consumers called herbivores, then by carnivores of different trophic level of a food chain. So what is this main basis of the energy? It is these green plants on the earth. Can we ever think the earth without these green plants? That is highly impossible because they are the supportive structures, supportive forms of the other life of trophic levels in the food chain on the earth. So because of this process, man started using the agricultural farming technology to grow these green plants and their products at the given geographical area in order to produce the food for the consumers, that includes even the human beings. Well, to increase the crops and the plants in the agricultural field, there is a requirement of the nutrients for the qualitative increase and the quantitative increase. And these nutrients, what we supply to the plants, could be the natural organic substances, we call them as manures, or it could be synthetic nutrient chemicals, what we prepare in our laboratories or manufacture in our industries, which we call them as fertilizers. So here are two important concepts that we need to understand. One is the fertilizer, the other one is organic manure. So a fertilizer is a chemical substance which may be organic or inorganic, synthesized in the labs, that are later added to the soil to increase the yield. Whereas manure is the organic material which is prepared by the decomposition of the crop waste or animal droppings or animal waste, that improves the fertility of the soil, as it is also a nutrient rich form of the component. So remember, fertilizer is a chemical based synthesized product that adds up nutrients to the soil for the growing plants, whereas manure is an organic substance which is seen generally by the decomposition of organic matter that also adds up nutrients to the soil, that improves the fertility of the soil. So here is the slide with an image above that indicates different types of manure that we can get of different types of organic matter by using various decomposing organisms. Here is a slide that shows the differences between a fertilizer and a manure. A fertilizer is an inorganic salt which is prepared at labs or industries, rich in the nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, sodium, but do not produce or add humus component to the soil. Whereas manure is again a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of organic waste like dung of cattle or waste of plants or kitchen waste, etc., which is prepared naturally in the fields, and they provide humus to the soil. Humus refers to the growth providing or growth promoting substances for the plants. So those components are added to the soil. They are kind of nutrients added to the soil, which gives very good growth of plants by inducing the growth factors. With this introduction, now we shall look into the concept of vermiculture and vermicompost. The term vermiculture refers to a scientific process of cultivating the worms, especially the earthworms. In simple, it is the artificial rearing of the earthworms to decompose the organic food or organic waste into a nutrient-rich material called manure. So here in the picture, when you look at the image, shows there is one earthworm added to the soil in the top, which gets multiplied in their number down. At the same time, the component of organic matter is converted into the nutrient-rich manure of the organic matter. So this is about the vermiculture. The end product or output of this vermiculture process is called the vermicompost. The major organisms used in the vermicompost formation is the earthworms, because these earthworms will feed on both the soil particles as well as the organic waste, and they convert these waste into the useful nutrient product called the vermicompost. Hence, this natural scientific process of converting the organic waste into the useful nutrient-rich product called manure is called as vermicomposting. Students, down is the image in this slide that shows various organic matter is converted into the manure form by using the earthworms, and hence this technology is called as vermicomposting technology. In vermiculture, as we have understood, earthworms are used that will feed on the cow dung or other organic waste, municipality waste, organic waste of industries, household garbage or kitchen garbage, etc., and convert it into a nutrient-rich manure, which we call it as the vermicompost. So vermicompost is actually the excreta of the earthworm, which is rich in the humus or the nutrient content that promotes a very good growth in the plants. So here's a picture down that shows how the organic matter is converted into useful nutrient-rich humus, and the technology we call it as vermicomposting. The excretory waste of earthworm is called castings here exactly, which are rich in the nitrates, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, etc. And these nutrients also promotes a very good growth of not only the plants but also useful bacteria and actinomycetes present in the soil that helps in the multiplication of worms and also multiplication of this bacteria and actinomycetes enhances their content 6 times than the original of its kind in presence in the original soil of the given area. I mean to say, here the manure is rich with the nitrate content and other nutrients required for the plants. At the same time, it will enhance the bacteria, good growth of bacteria and actinomycetes that facilitates the growth of these worms. Okay, and these provide an environment for the good growth of the worms. So that's the importance of vermiculture also. So here, vermiculture process not only form vermicompost, that is conversion of garbage into useful manure, but also keeps the environment very clean from the waste that is dumped. Hence, it is an eco-friendly or environment healthy practice. It is easily handled by the farmers also. So this is about the importance of the vermiculture technology. Now, next is organisms of vermicomposting. That is, the organisms that could feed upon the organic garbage or the waste and convert it into useful vermicompost or manure. Usually bacteria, microorganisms, earthworms participate in this process of vermicomposting process or vermiculturing process. The major earthworm species used here in vermiculture are said to be very voracious eaters or feeders. And the major earthworm species that are used in the vermiculture in India includes number 1, Eisenia fetida. Number 2, Euryalus eugeniae. So down is the picture that shows Euryalus species and Eisenia species of earthworms which are used widely in the vermicomposting technique. Students, remember, they feed much. They feed on this organic waste and convert them into manure easily, that is vermicompost easily. Next is the classification of the earthworms. Students, we find varieties of earthworms, but all earthworms cannot be used in the process of vermicomposting technique. Earthworms is are classified here based on not only their habits but also the feeding ways. Some earthworm species will feed on the dead and organic waste, which we call them as the detrivorous earthworms. And some species of earthworms will feed on the soil particles, which we call them as the soilivorous earthworms or geophage earthworms. Detrivorous earthworms are very useful in a vermiculture and vermicomposting technique because they feed on plant waste, animal dung, kitchen waste, etc. And these earthworms will be able to easily convert the organic matter into useful manure at the surface of the earth, that is at the top layer of the earth. And hence they are also called as epizoic forms. It includes the examples of Eisenia fetida, then Euryalus eugeniae, then Lamphito morita, then Phalli ferritima elongata, then Actochetona serrata, then Actochetona surensis. These are few species of earthworms which are widely used in the process of vermiculture and vermicomposting technique because they are detrivorous organisms. The second group of earthworm species are geophagous or soilivorous earthworms. They live in the underground burrows and feed on not only the organic waste present below the surface level of the earth, but also they will feed on the soil particles. These earthworms are humus feeders. The nutrients, whatever the other species of earthworms that are forming the nutrient content in the soil, that content will also be eaten away by this earthworm species of geophagous variety. Hence they are called as humus feeders. It includes the examples of Ferritima postuma, then Actochetona thurstoni. And these earthworm species are not used in the process of vermiculture and vermicomposting technique because they eat away the nutrient content of the soil. So they are not suitable species of earthworm for the vermicomposting technique. Next is the medium of vermiculture or materials used in the vermiculture. It includes the organic waste like the crop waste, dry leaves, then cattle dung, etc., along with the sawdust, coir waste, paddy husk, slurry from biogas plant, and poultry waste, vegetable waste, etc. Here, the slurry refers to cow dung mixed with the water. On this medium, the earthworms are reared, they are cultured, but the whole process is conducted under a sheltered area to avoid the sunlight, as the earthworms are photophobic or nocturnal, and also to avoid the flooding by the heavy rain. Students, here is down the picture or image showing towards left side the preparation of medium of vermiculture. Then the same thing is added to the ditch or the container where the vermiculture process or technique is carried out towards the right side picture. Next is containers of vermiculture. The vermiculture process is carried out in various containers. It includes brick-lined pits, then plastic tubs, wooden boxes, earthen pots, etc. But whatever the container that we select here should have an ideal size for the vermiculture process. That is 1 meter length, 1 meter breadth, and 0.3 meter depth, or what to say, the height, which includes around 45 centimeters almost. Usually depth of the container or the pit should not be more than 45 centimeters, and the complete system is placed under the shaded area. Down in the picture, when we look at under a shelter, how this brick pits were made for the vermiculture technique process. Well, students, the next important aspect that we shall understand is the methodology of vermiculture or culturing of the earthworms. The actual technique of vermiculture. Let's make it easy by placing it, that is the methodology, in stepwise process. Step 1 is selection of container. That is, container in which the earthworms are laid. As we have understood, containers in the previous slide that it should have 1 meter length, 1 meter breadth, and 0.3 meters depth. These containers are placed in the suitable shaded areas. So shadow areas are selected, and under the shadow these containers are placed. Step 1. Step 2 is preparation of vermi bed for the earthworms. So there is a requirement of bed on which these earthworms are reared. In this step, the bottom of the pit or the container is placed with the coir waste, then the paddy waste or paddy husk, sugarcane trash or waste, old papers, etc., that forms a soft and delicate bed for the worms. It is covered with a layer of soil, and the thickness of this wormy bed should be of 10 centimeters. Students, this bed is made and it is sprinkled with the water to keep it wet, and a moisture of 40 to 45% is maintained. So down is the picture that shows towards the left side, under the shaded area, how these worm containers or wormy culture containers are placed, and towards the right side is different layers of this pit is represented. Step 3 is spreading of the layer with the organic waste, and also with 5 to 10% of neem cake. In this step, mixture of organic waste such as cow dung, slurry of biogas, etc. spread over the wormy bed, and this spread of mixture is left like that for about 2 weeks for half the percentage of digestion process to occur due to the heat produced in the substrates. So when you mix all this contents of organic waste along with the slurry and cow dung, a husk of paddy, etc., and leave like that for about 2 weeks. There occurs certain of processes. The temperature rises of the bed to 50 to 55 degrees centigrades. And at this step, we add 5 to 10% of neem cake material, which is formed by the grinding of neem leaves and neem fruits, etc. So this content of neem cake will kill all the harmful microorganisms that will affect the growth of earthworms in the given container area. Now, down is the picture towards the left side where you have the neem cake and how it is formed. Towards the right side, the content of this bed of worms is provided with the maggot larvae. This kind of larvae are killed by by adding the neem cake content. The next step is introduction of earthworms. When the temperature reduces to 30 degrees centigrade in the selected area, the selected species of earthworms are introduced into the container. That is, around 500 worms per every 100 kgs of organic matter is introduced. Now, the next step after the introduction of earthworms is keeping the content of the container moist. In this step, drying of the material is stopped or it is abstracted by keeping the container in the shadow areas and protecting the earthworms by covering the content with the jute bags or gunny cloth bags. When you cover the content with the gunny bags or the cloth bags, we call the process as casing. Here, the water is sprinkled and maintenance of the temperature at about 20 to 30 degrees centigrade and a moisture of 45 to 50% is done, and the pH is also maintained between 6.5 to 7. So these are all the ideal parameters for the earthworms to grow well in the given container. So down is the picture where sprinkling of water and the nutrients is done, and the content are covered with the gunny bags in the next picture down. Now the introduced worms actively feed on the organic waste at all these parameter that we have studied just now. Hence the contents left aside for about 60 days to convert that organic waste into compost by the earthworms. That is, after 60 days, the compost will be ready as the excretory mounds of castings will appear on the surface of the bed. Students, remember here, along with the compost formation, the number of earthworms also multiplies approximately to 200 times. Example, if we introduce one earthworm into the container, by the end of 60 days, utilizing the organic matter, that one earthworm will multiply into 200 earthworms by the end of 60 days. So 200 times the multiplication of earthworms takes place. So that's the advantage. So one side we are getting the conversion of organic matter into manure, which we call it as vermicomposting, and the number of earthworms are also multiplying, which we call it as vermiculture. So vermiculture, vermicomposting technique both goes hand in hand here in the technology. So down is the picture where you can see the exact process of manure formation, that's vermicompost formation towards right side and towards left side. The multiplication of earthworms also are seen here. Now, the last step in vermiculture is separation of earthworms and the vermicompost. In this step, to achieve this step, a heap of that compost along with the earthworms are placed on a plastic sheet underneath the, in presence of the sunlight. So carefully the compost along with the earthworms are removed from the container and a heap is made on a plastic sheet in presence of sunlight. Now what happens in presence of sunlight is that since earthworms are photophobic and nocturnal, they start moving towards the bottom of the heap. So the superficial layers, that is the top layer of this heap, will be free from that of the earthworm, so that a heap top layer is removed carefully and it is used as manure. Whereas the bottom content of that heap that contains the earthworms are carefully separated and they are reintroduced into different containers where the vermicomposting technique is freshly done. So that is about the importance of the last step, where we separate out worms as well as the vermicompost. The next important aspect that we need to remember is nutritive value of vermicompost. A very good or ideal vermicompost looks brown in color, and its nutritive contents will vary based on the heterogeneous or different types of organic materials, waste that you are added during the composting or for the composting process. So it's a very healthy practice that will keep the environment clean, and it's an eco-friendly practice. So down in the picture you can see in this slide how the vermicompost is separated from the container and which is made free from that of the earthworms. Students, here is a slide that shows the nutrient composition of vermicompost. It includes the organic carbon of 9 to 17%. It includes the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, copper, iron, zinc, etc. So almost all the nutrients are available for the plant are present in the vermicompost, that's the manure. After we understanding the methodology of vermiculture and vermicomposting, the next concept we shall now discuss is advantages of vermiculture and vermicomposting. It includes many advantages. To start one by one are as follows. The first one is vermicompost is rich in all essential plant nutrients. Just now we have understood it is rich in calcium, magnesium, sulfur, zinc, iron, potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. All nutrients are present even in the vermicompost. The next point is it provides an excellent effect on overall plant encouragers that will help in the good growth of new shoots and leaves and improves the quality of that particular plant. So all these nutrients will help in stimulating the good growth in the plants. The next advantage is vermicompost is a free-flowing, easy to apply. It could be easily handled, easily stored, and doesn't have any bad odor. Whereas chemical fertilizers, storage concept is very crucial there. But this vermicompost is stored at any place and it can be easily handled and it is easily applied onto the agricultural fields. Then, this vermicompost improves the soil structure, aeration process, water holding capacity, and prevents the soil erosion. So generally this vermicompost is mixed along with the soil and the plants are allowed to grow in such area. So water retention capacity becomes more for the soil because it enhances the porosity of the soil. The vermicompost is rich with beneficial microorganisms. Thereby, the soil environment is made healthy for the plants to easily grow. So that's another advantage. Vermicompost contains the earthworms, their cocoons, that easily increases the population of this particular earthworms in the given soil. So their cocoons present in the soil will help in the growth of this earthworms in the given soil. We have seen that vermicompost has got the pH of 6.5 to 7. So this pH will give the protection for the soil well. And also it prevents the nutrient loss for the soil when compared to the chemical fertilizers. The next is vermicompost is free from that of the pathogens that causes diseases. And it doesn't contain any toxic elements that are harmful to the plants. This vermicompost will minimize even the pest attack and the pest diseases on the plant. It also enhances the process of decomposition of organic matter even in the soil because the soil bacteria are present along with the earthworm. We are not going to separate the soil bacteria, the decomposing bacteria. So that those bacteria also are added to the soil along with the manure. Next is, it contains valuable vitamins, enzymes, hormones that are very useful for the plants to have good growth. So this is about the importance of advantages of vermiculture and vermicomposting. Students, now we shall understand the importance of vermiculture and, after we understand the importance of vermiculture and vermicomposting, we shall answer few of the MCQ questions. Question 1. For vermicomposting process, which of the species of earthworm is not apt? So apt earthworms are Eisenia and Eudilis, whereas Ferretima postuma is a geophagous earthworm that will feed away the, they feed on the humus, which is not a good species of earthworm for the vermiculture. So answer is B. Question 2. The process in which earthworms are used to degrade the organic waste. What do you call it as? Earthworms are used in the degradation process of organic waste. So answer is C, vermicomposting. Vermicompost is a toxic material, organic biofertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer. So it is an organic biofertilizer. Answer is B. Question 4. Which of the following nutrients is abundantly found in the worm castings? So what exactly the excreta of earthworm will contain? It contains phosphorus, nitrogen, calcium and other minerals also. So answer is D, all of these. Question 5. Which of the following products cannot be used in vermicomposting? So cow dung and material of plants, animal waste and all of the above. Animal waste we won't use, of vertebrate animals waste are not used in the process of vermicomposting. So answer is C. Question 6. Which of the following is true about vermicompost? So color of vermicompost is brown. So answer is D. So what is the outcome of today's study? We have understood the method of vermiculture and nutritive value of vermicompost and advantage of vermicompost over the chemical fertilizers. So here are the references and sources of the images that are used. Textbooks includes P.S. Verma, Invertebrate Zoology, then Modern Textbook of Zoology by Kotpal. Here are few web references of the images. Students, if you have any queries, comments and critiques, please post them to my personal WhatsApp number. Thank you all. Wish you all a very good day ahead.